Once upon a time, in a quiet little village tucked between rolling hills and whispering forests, there lived a gentle young girl named Elara. Her eyes shone green like spring leaves after rain, her hair flowed dark and silken as midnight, and her smile carried a warmth that could chase away even the gloomiest day. But Elara's life was far from easy. After her mother's passing, her father remarried, and her new stepmother brought with her two daughters of her own. They were proud and selfish, forever comparing themselves to others, yet blind to the cruelty they poured onto Elara. At first they feigned kindness, but soon Elara was pushed into the role of servant. She rose before dawn to gather water, scrubbed the floors until her fingers ached, sewed gowns for her stepsisters long into the night, and kept the hearth burning while others rested in comfort. Though her body often grew weary, Elara never let her heart harden. She spoke kindly to birds, smiled at strangers, and held tightly to her dreams. Somewhere, beyond ashes and chores, she believed a brighter life waited for her. One crisp autumn morning, the village stirred with excitement. A herald, dressed in a cloak of silver thread, rode into the square on a white steed. With a trumpet blast, he unrolled a scroll sealed with the king's crest. By order of His Majesty, he declared, a grand masquerade ball shall be held at the royal palace. All young women of the kingdom are invited, for the prince himself will choose his bride. Gasps and laughter erupted across the crowd. The news traveled faster than the wind. Elara's stepmother and stepsisters squealed with delight. They demanded gowns of silk, masks of glittering lace, and jewels polished until they sparkled like fire. "Work faster, Elara," they barked, tossing fabric at her feet. "Make us dazzling. Tonight, the prince will surely notice us." For days, Elara worked tirelessly, stitching, polishing, mending, and pressing. Her own heart longed to join, but when she softly asked if she might attend, her stepmother gave a cruel laugh. "You?" she sneered. "You'll be staying here, covered in ash and dust where you belong." The night of the ball arrived, and the cottage brimmed with chaos. Her stepsisters twirled in shimmering gowns, their mother fussed over their masks, and the air rang with selfish chatter. At last, the carriage arrived, and the three swept out the door, leaving Elara behind with nothing but silence and the fading echo of wheels against stone. She sank beside the fireplace, her heart aching, tears slipping into the soot on her cheeks. For the first time in a long while, hope seemed far away. Then a sudden light shimmered through the room. Not gold like sunlight, but silver, soft and cool like moonlight. The flames in the hearth flickered higher, and from the glow stepped a woman cloaked in flowing starlight. Her presence filled the cottage with both warmth and mystery. "Do not cry, child," the woman said, her voice gentle yet commanding. "I have watched your kindness. Tonight it is time the world saw it too." With a sweep of her hand, the pumpkin in the garden split and reshaped into a carriage of glimmering crystal. The mice that scurried along the floor stretched into elegant white horses. Elara's tattered dress unraveled, then rewove itself into a gown of sapphire silk, its fabric shimmering as though woven with stars. On her feet appeared slippers of delicate glass, glowing faintly as if alive with magic. Elara gasped. "It's beautiful, but how?" "Kindness brings its own reward," the woman whispered. "But remember this, the spell fades at the final toll of midnight. When the last bell sounds, everything will return to its truth." Elara nodded, her heart racing. She stepped into the crystal carriage, the horses rearing before carrying her swiftly toward the glowing palace. When she entered the ballroom, silence swept across the crowd. Dozens of masked faces turned in wonder. And then the prince himself stepped forward. His mask of silver feathers framed eyes that seemed to recognize her instantly. He extended his hand. "May I have this dance?" Elara's breath caught, but she placed her hand in his. Together they spun across the marble floor beneath golden chandeliers, their laughter mingling with the music. It felt as if they had always belonged side by side. But then the bells began to toll. 1, 2, 3. The sound cut sharper than Elara expected, reminding her of the Silver Woman's warning. Her heart raced. She pulled away, whispering, "I must go." The prince called after her, but she fled down the grand staircase. As she ran, one of her slippers slipped free, clattering across the marble with a clear, ringing note. She did not stop. By the 12th chime, the carriage had vanished, the gown returned to rags, and Elara stood once more in the quiet night air, breathless. The next day, the prince sent servants across the kingdom with the glass slipper. He vowed to marry the one whose foot fit it perfectly. Noble daughters tried, merchants' children tried, farmers' daughters tried, but the slipper fit none. At last, the servants reached Elara's cottage. Her stepsisters forced their feet inside until they winced with pain, but the slipper would not yield. "Is there no one else in this house?" asked the servant. Elara stepped forward quietly. Her stepmother tried to protest, but the servant silenced her. Elara slipped her foot into the shoe, and it slid on with perfect ease, glowing faintly in the morning sunday. In that instant, the silver-cloaked woman's voice echoed like a breeze through the room. "Truth cannot be hidden. Kindness always finds its way." Elara's gown reappeared in its sapphire brilliance. The prince himself arrived, removed his mask, and knelt before her. "From the moment I saw you," he said softly, "I knew it was you I had been waiting for." With tears of joy, Elara placed her hand in his. And so, her days that followed were filled with love, laughter, and light, for she had learned a timeless secret. Even in the darkest shadows, kindness carries a magic strong enough to change everything.